Happy belated birthday, Belly.
You remember it?
I always remember.
Thank you.
Of course.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know, it's Beats, your girl KylerB coming at you for a new video. So today we're going to be talking about The Summer I Turned Pretty, Season 3, Episode 4. So let's get right into the video. So in this episode, this is after Belly and Jeremiah basically announced to Laurel and Adam and Conrad and Steven that they're married. Basically everybody, Taylor as well. So Laurel was obviously against it. Adam's obviously against it. But, you know, Belly, she's just adamant that she just wants to get married to Jeremiah. So it's just basically a couple weeks after that announcement, you know, they're working to get the money up for the wedding. They want to get married in August. And it's just like, yeah, when people want to do something, but everybody's against it. So that's basically what Belly's doing. So while this is happening, Taylor, she found out from Steven via her mother that, you know, she's basically kind of like going bankrupt. Like, they have a lot of money problems. The guy Scott that, you know, her mother was dating basically messed up their, you know, cash flow. So, and she wants to start up a business and she needs a loan, but unfortunately she can't do that because the guy that she was with basically took out credit cards and whatever in her name. So essentially she has bad credit. If she wants to get any type of loan, she has to pay back 10 grand. Taylor's supposed to be going to New York for her internship and you know, it's just like, does she stick around and try to help her mother with these like problems, or does her internships? She basically ends up, you know, not going to her internship, or basically said that she's going to cancel it to not go to basically help out her mother. Her and Steven obviously are not together. I guess she doesn't want Steven's help. She doesn't want a guy's help. I mean, to be honest, Steven basically broke up with his girl because he was like, you know, what they're doing, sneaking behind each other's backs or whatever, trying to be together is kind of like wrong. So he broke up with her basically, and he was telling Taylor like, hey, let's be together. Like, basically, we're doing all this stuff, let's be together. She's like, oh no, like, oh, I don't want to be with you, da da da, who told you that, da 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 da. Ends up getting to a car crash, and then after he gets into the car crash, he's like realizing like, you know what, I have an epiphany, let's really get together. But Steven was just like, I almost died because we were arguing about being together, and now you want to be together. So I can understand why Steven's kind of hesitant on getting with Taylor. So I mean, at the end of the day, like, truly and honestly, he was distracted because he was arguing with Taylor. And, you know, because she wants to get out of the car, go to, you know, in the middle of the road, for what reason, ends up almost losing his life. So because of that jump starts Belly to think like, you know, live every day like your last, like, you know, don't break up over, you know, a cheating disagreement. Like, I feel like that's just so, you know, basically all of that, what happened with Steven, which was not even in the books, basically jump-started the whole let's get married situation, which I'm just like, are we serious? Now, Laurel does not want Belly to get married now because she thinks it's like a wrong decision, which, you know, granted, I feel like if you're in your junior year of college, might as well just finish college, and then if you want to marry Jeremiah, just marry Jeremiah. I mean, I don't see what she's saying kind of wrong. I feel like she just wants her daughter to have an identity within herself before she like stops it or whatever for Jeremiah. And at the end of the day, Laurel ends up being kind of correct. So anyway, she wanted Laurel to basically cave in, change her mind to do wedding shopping, dress shopping, whatever. So she said, no, I'm not going to attend your wedding. So she calls Taylor and her mom shows up, but, you know, she is kind of just like sad about the fact that her own mom would not even attend, like, help her with her dress shopping, or, you know, or even attend her wedding. So Belly was just very down about this whole entire situation. Like, it was her birthday too, so she didn't even want to spend her birthday with Taylor or whatever. She's like, I'll just do a double shift, whatever, I don't know. Jeremiah ends up surprising her with cakes, tries to speak to Laurel. Laurel's just like, yeah, no. So they end up arguing. She ends up leaving with Jeremiah all the way to cousins at the beach house, because Jeremiah actually gave her the key to the beach house. And so it's like, when they get married, that's basically permanent, because since they have the house in their name or whatever, when they get married, it's gonna be Belly's beach house. So with that being said, they go to the beach house, ends up finding Conrad there. Conrad's been there because he got kicked out of the dropped from the clinic situation, which I'm just like, was kind of messed up, but it is what it is. I mean, dealing with the hospital situation, that could actually be an accident. So he got dropped from the clinic, and then obviously he got the job at GERF. So he's staying at cousins until then. So obviously Belly and Jeremiah shows up. He's like very much, flabbergasted about this wedding situation. So, Jeremiah asked Steven if he can be his best man or co-best man, because Jeremiah ends up getting an internship at his father's firm, whatever. I don't really know technically what Adam does. He's like in some type of tech situation, whatever, but Steven already works there, and now Jeremiah, his son, is also working there. So Jeremiah's like the intern, so he's just like, around trying to earn money, try to be a man, essentially, to like prove to his father, like, he is ready for marriage. Anyhow, with that being said, he asked Steven. Steven said, what, I'll, be your best man. Because Steven was definitely against it. But, he was going to support his, brother, friend, whatever. Conrad, said it was ridiculous. So their whole ridiculous situation got back to Belly. And then Belly started mocking him about ridiculous. And, obviously the relationship between Jeremiah and Conrad is kind of like strained in a sense. Conrad did his entire college career. Now he's like doing at Stanford, and now he's like trying to be a doctor. So it's just like he's kind of been MIA, probably away from them, because Belly and Jeremiah have been dating for 4 years, since she was 17. Now she's 21, nonstop. So it's just kind of just like, he was with Belly first, and it's kind of like, what, Conrad himself hasn't been with anybody since Belly. He's still hurt about the situation or whatever. Like, he really can't deal with it. So it's just kind of like he needs to talk about his feelings. That's where Agnes comes in, and it's just like, yeah. So anyhow, back to the whole situation. They mocked Conrad, saying it was ridiculous. Jeremiah, he ends up having to go back to Philadelphia, Boston, whatever, to go to work. So he's going to be gone for 5 days out of the week, and only comes back on weekends. So Bella is going to be at cousins, basically planning the wedding. So I guess she stopped doing her diner job. I don't know. She didn't drive up there. So I'm like, who's going to be driving her back and forth from Philly, Boston, whatever. So anyway, while Conrad's there, Conrad, he just kind of like, he can't be in this, summer house with the people that he just can't be around them. So he decides to book a flight. But Belly is just like crying about the whole situation, that her own mom will not be attending her wedding. Is not going to support her in like a big decision of her life. So, and obviously Susanna's dead. So she's kind of like having a little flashback about this whole situation. So she ends up sobbing, crying. Conrad overhears her crying, and he was just about to leave, but what, he decides to not go on his flight, stay, bake some things, basically tell Belly like happy belated birthday. And basically with that, doing that minor situation basically cheered Belly up. He changed his mind, told, Jeremiah, like, what, I'm going to be your best man. I'm going to support you in this decision, even though the decision hurts him. So it's just kind of like, the episode ended right there. Essentially, like, we're basically going to get Conrad's point of view about this whole type of situation, because it's just kind of like a very hurtful situation, essentially, in the sense that how Belly and him ended things, for her to like kind of jump in with Jeremiah, and it's just kind of like the two people that were closest to you are together, and like he still has feeling and love for Belly. So it's just kind of like, and he still probably does still love Belly too. So it's just kind of like, where do we go from there? Belly basically thinks like, it's been 4 years. Conrad has nothing, he's over me, whatever. Like, he's been off to college. But truly and honestly, I think that if Jeremiah ever went to a different college than Belly, and he wasn't at the same college than Belly, like, I don't think that relationship would have been as smooth sailing as it was. I feel like because they went to the same college, whatever, you know, basically kind of like live together in sort of in a sense of the way. I mean, besides the cheating situation, you know, that's how it was. With that being said, before Jeremiah goes and leaves, she's just like, how am I going to stay to you for 5 days of the week? And if I go to Paris, it's going to be like out for 5 months. Like, how would that work? And if we get married in August, like, how would that work if we're husband and wife and I'm away from me for 5 months? Because she has the Paris internship. So Belly decides to say to Jeremiah, you know what? I'm going to tell, you know, the people that I'm not going to go to Paris. And he's like, you know what? I didn't want you to go either. And it's just like, this is what Laurel has been telling you. Laurel said, I do not want you to lose your identity. I need you to, like, you know, find yourself, find your footing. If you give everything away for a man, you're not going to have your footing. You're going to be in life regretting your decision of, like, you know, why did I go to Paris? Why didn't I do what I wanted to do? Why didn't I do my goals and dreams and aspirations? Because, oh, what? I got married young and, you know, I wanted to be in the relationship. Like, no, this is what Laurel's been talking about, and unfortunately Belly's gonna learn the hard way, because if she gives up Paris, she's not gonna do anything for herself. She's gonna be so focused on this relationship with Jeremiah. She's only really truly marrying this guy because her brother almost died, so she's just trying to live every day like her last, essentially, you know. And I understand that, because this, you know, almost dying in a car crash is a wake-up decision, but, like, listen to Laurel. Like, you know, she has a point with this situation. But anyways, obviously this is episode 4. We have 7 more episodes left, so I kind of want to see what's going on. I really am glad to see Conrad's point of view, if that is the next episode, because he's like, what have I done? Like,
What have I done?
he can't be around Belly, to be honest. That's why he stayed away. Like, if he's around Belly, he's just gonna obviously maybe confess his love for her, and it's just kind of gonna be a very much a tricky situation, because that's his brother. Like, you got to understand, this is the brother dynamic in this whole situation is just such a hard dynamic to get around with. And, like, obviously since he's the older brother, he has to think, you know, logically and, you know, more maturely. So it's going to be very hard for Conrad to be in that house with Belly alone, because they always flash back to that Christmas scene. And it's like, what happened in Christmas? Because if nothing happened, why are we still flashing back at it? So anyhow, this was episode 4 of The Summer I Turned Pretty, season 3. And if you guys like the video, comment down below, let me know your thoughts, comments, concerns, and you have to subscribe to my channel. Subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. Peace.